Hello. Welcome to Solstice. Tonight is going to involve a substantial amount of singing, so let's loosen ourselves up and do a little warm-up. Pick your favorite note. Ready? Go. Oh, yeah, cool. Pick your favorite note, and then we're going to slide up, and then we're going to slide down. All right, start way up high, and then careen down towards the earth and explode. Ready? Fantastic. This first song is about the expanding circle of moral concern, and it's structured as a call and response. Feel free to sing the call or the response, or both. So commence, circle, grow and grow, praise of all benevolence, circle, grow and grow. Once a cold and silent night did the loveless stars pervade, yet we hear of star stuff made, cast a circle of warmer light, circle, circle, grow and grow. Bring our families in, circle, grow and grow. Those whom nature made our kin, circle, grow and grow. Countless likenesses we find by our common blood bestowed. What a debt of care is owed, what a blessed tie that binds, circle, circle, grow and grow. Neighbors in, circle, grow and grow. Our expansion to begin, circle, grow and grow. Bounty of the harvest sun, shelter from all hazards dire. Share with each as each require, doing as you would be done. Circle, circle, grow and grow. Bring the stranger in, circle, grow and grow. Every state and speech and skin, circle, grow and grow. Think upon the mystery, how alike is humankind, though manifold in face and mind. Conspecific sisters we, circle, circle, grow and grow. The far ones in, circle, grow and grow. All who distant born have been, circle, grow and grow. For the hands you'll never hold, for the names you'll never learn, for all far off hearts that yearn, like compassion boundless roll, circle, circle, grow. Will we bring all creatures in, circle, grow and grow. Feather, fur, or silicon, circle, grow and grow. Though their unseen thought beguile, strange the substrate they employ. All who suffer or enjoy are brothers, soul and body wild. Circle, circle, grow and grow. Will we bring the future in, circle, grow and grow. All of time is ours to win, circle, grow and grow. Will our children rise in power, overwhelm the starry deep? Lights unborn for you we keep, will and hope, though dark the hour, circle, circle, grow and grow. Circle, circle, grow and grow.
Welcome everybody to the 2023 Bay Area Secular Solstice Celebration. It's so good to see all of you and to hear all of your voices. There's more of us here tonight than ever before. I checked the ticket numbers this morning to make sure I could say that, by the way, and it's true. And yet, unlike last year, we all fit into one room and nobody is exiled to the frozen wasteland of the simulcast zone. Except I guess those who got COVID and are watching on the live stream, hello. So welcome to our local friends and welcome to those for whom Solstice is a pilgrimage who have traveled here from far and wide. And welcome everybody on the live stream scattered all around the world. And a special welcome to those for whom it's the very first solstice. Let me perhaps explain a little bit what it is we're doing here. Winter is hard, traditionally. At least if you're relatively far from the equator. Historically, quite a lot of your life revolves around planning to make sure that you survive the winter, to make sure you have enough food, warm shelter, protection from the elements. You have less and less sunlight in which to do things. Your life gets more and more constrained. Humans are adaptable creatures, and so we take this darkness as an opportunity to make our own light, to savor the comfort of our warm, cozy shelters, to dress everything up with twinkling lights and garlands and hold great feasts in defiance of the cold and the dark, and to hold each other close and give each other presents. But the dark is still there. Here tonight, we gather both to build our own cozy imaginary bonfire, create and experience warmth and joy, and also to sit in the darkness together, to acknowledge it and process it and grieve it, and to find our way through it. It'll be fun, and it'll be hard too, but we're all in this together. Tonight, we'll hear speeches and we'll sing songs. Please note that nearly every song is a sing-along. The only ones that aren't are the 2 songs sung by the Bayesian Choir. These will be clearly marked in the lyric slides. On all of the other songs, I invite you to sing. If you don't know the tune, the secret to picking up songs on the fly is to actively predict what the next note will be based on what you've heard so far and your sense of how songs in general tend to go. Sing your prediction out loud, and then correct on the fly if your prediction is falsified. It's calibration practice. I bet a lot of you will be better at this skill in 2 hours than you are right now. Also, don't worry about singing badly. We're not here to sing as cleanly as possible. We're here to sing together. You may not agree with everything you hear in tonight's program, and that's okay. This is not a liturgy. It's a reflection from one particular set of perspectives. All right, that's enough talking. Let's sing.
There's one piece of wisdom that sticks in my head. I heard it someplace, or it's something I read about someone or other whose grandmother said that life is too short to fold underwear. Life is too short to fold underwear. Life is too short to play solitaire. Get off your duff, it's time to begin. There's good deeds to do, and there's sins to be sinned. And there's not enough time to fit it all in. Life is too short to fold underwear. Life is too short to eat processed cheese, or mealy tomatoes, or third-rate Chinese, or to live someplace dismal without any trees. And life is too short to fold underwear. Life is too short to fold underwear. Life is too short to play solitaire. Get off your duff, it's time to begin. There's good deeds to do, and there's sins to be sinned, and there's not enough time to fit it all in. Life is too short to fold underwear. Life is too short to spend it alone, or with folks that are mean, or a long way from home, or to serve an obsession that isn't your own. And life is too short to fold underwear. Life is too short to fold underwear. Life is too short to play solitaire. Get off your duff, it's time to begin. There's good deeds to do, and there's sins to be sinned, and there's not enough time to fit it all in. Life is too short to fold underwear. Yes, life is too short to fold underwear.
Now, some of my friends, when I showed them this song, were like, "But Anna, I fold underwear all the time and I endorse this life choice." And to that, I can only say, your utility function is not my utility function, but your utility function is okay. Personally, since I learned this song, the act of putting away my underwear unfolded has taken on a little bit of the nature of a minor quasi-religious observance. Speaking of quasi-religious observances, this next song started as a sort of intra-religious rebuttal against overly literal interpretations of the Bible, but in our community it has grown to fill a different role of a celebration of truth-seeking and a sort of meditation on the fact that the map is not the territory, and so our map needs to be ongoingly refined to match the territory better. And so the song itself has been ongoingly refined as well. For example, there's a line in the second verse about how Galileo recanted his heliocentric model of the solar system under pressure, even though he was right. The original lyric said that, quote, torture broke the remnant of his will. But someone pointed out years ago that Galileo was never actually tortured. He was merely threatened with torture and put on house arrest. So the line was changed to, quote, isolation broke his weary will, referencing the house arrest. Then last year, Drake Thomas, who I think is probably in the audience somewhere, hi, pointed out that actually Galileo recanted at his trial, which was before his house arrest, so it could not have been the isolation that broke his will. So tonight we have a brand new version of this line for you. Feel free to debate this change amongst yourselves after the show, in keeping with time-honored rationalist tradition.
From desert cliff and mountain top, we trace the wide design. Strike, slip, fault, and overthrust, and sin and anticline. We gaze upon creation where erosion makes it known, and count the countless eons in the banding of the stone. Odd-long vanished creatures and their tracks and shells are found, where truth has left its sketches on the slate below the ground. The patient stone can speak if we but listen when it talks. Humans wrote the book of Earth. Time wrote the rocks. And there are those who name the stars, who watch the sky by night. seeking out the darkest ways to better see the light. Long ago, when threats and trials broke his weary will, Galileo recanted, but the earth is moving still. High above the mountaintops where only distance bars, the truth has left its footprints in the dust between the stars. We may watch and study, or may shudder and deny. Humans wrote the book of night. Fire wrote the sky. By stem and root and branch we trace, by feather, fang, and fur, how the living things that are descend from things that were. The moss, the kelp, the zebrafish, the very mice and flies. Tiny, humble, wordless things, how shall they tell us lies? We are kin to beast, no other answer can we bring. The truth has left its fingerprints on every living thing. Winnowed by an aimless game of birth and blood and strife, humans wrote the book of names. Death wrote life. And we who listen to the stars, or walk the dusty grade, or break the very atoms down to see how they are made, or study cells or living things, seek truth with open hand. The profoundest act of worship is to try to understand. Deep in flower and in flesh, in star and soil and seed, the truth has left its living word for anyone to read. So turn and look where best you think the story is unfurled. Humans write the book of truth. Truth for the world.
Underrated reasons to be thankful. 1. That when cyanobacteria arose 2 billion years ago and filled the atmosphere with oxygen, which killed off most species and also removed methane from the air, so temperatures crashed and the entire planet was encased in ice, this didn't quite extinguish all life, but eventually led to the rise of eukaryotes that turn oxygen back into carbon dioxide. And later those eukaryotes banded together into multicellular teams like you. 2. That for billions of years, bacteria captured energy from the sun and then died, and then sank to the bottom of the ocean and were covered with sediments and cooked into hydrocarbons. And meanwhile, it took a long time for humans to evolve, which is good because all that stored energy has made our lives much better, and perhaps allowed us to bootstrap a technological civilization that would be otherwise impossible. 3. That if you stare at your own teeth long enough, they eventually resolve as a frightful array of mineral claws clustered around a food hole, bathed in recirculating bioliquid and hidden behind quasi-prehensile skin flaps, which is good, because it gives a glimpse of how we might look to aliens, and also because you're under no obligation to do that. 4, that yeast. 5, that bleach. 6, that music. That certain patterns of sound spur deep emotional responses in us. Why? 7, that hokey, unfashionable techniques like practicing gratitude turn out to have strong scientific evidence behind them, and several countries happen to have a pre-existing holiday that's already, at least in theory, dedicated to this practice. 8, that the abstraction of narratives exists, allowing us to understand the world, at least partially, through this crazy, messy process we're undertaking right now, rather than everything being a blind, inscrutable evolution of the wave function. And also, the world happens to be structured so that these narratives are powerful enough to actually, partially, explain at least some phenomena sometimes.
Are getting shorter and the nights are growing long, and the north wind puts a tear into your eye. Then you're out about round midnight and you look off to the east. There you may see bold Orion on the rise. You may know him by his stance or by the starry shield he holds as he rises silent in a clear cold sky. Young Jack Frost and Old Man Winter, they both beckon to the call of their master, bold Orion on the rise. Bold Orion, mighty hunter, rising in a clear cold sky. See the summer full before him, bold Orion is on the rise. For 7 starry ages he has ruled the winter sky, with the fires of lost eons in his eyes. He has seen the rise and fall of kings and continents and all, rising silent, bold Orion on the rise. When he ascends, no hesitation, when he moves, no turning round, like a soul bent for the glory, earthly born but heavenly bound. Now the blood is on the wing, and it's southward that she flies, and come by bold Orion on that rise. Bold Orion, mighty hunter, rising in a clear cold sky. See the summer fall before him, bold Orion is on the rise. Summer comes on all too slowly, and it passes far too fast, and you wonder, is there nothing that can last? Here today and gone tomorrow, as the green leaves turn to red, as the present quickly fades into the past. Cut the wood and stack it high, now stoke the fires in your home, burn in nightly, send the smoke up to the sky. Keep the winter at your door, keep the summer in your heart. Drink a toast to bold Orion on the rise. Bold Orion, mighty hunter, rising in a clear cold sky. See the summer fall before him, bold Orion is on the rise. Bold Orion, mighty hunter, rising in a clear cold sky. See the summer fall before him, bold Orion is on the rise. Bold Orion is on the line.
Nine, that the Earth hasn't recently been hit by a solar flare as powerful as the 1859 Carrington event, which is good, because that would set electrical lines around the world on fire, meaning months of power outages and simultaneous failures of food, transport, and medical systems. 10, that it's pretty rare for an asteroid as large as Chicxulub to hit the Earth. And if anything, it's unusual that we were hit by one only 66 million years ago. 11, that resistance to antibiotics appears to come at least at some cost to bacteria, meaning that there's non-zero hope that if we invent enough antibiotics and cycle them or use some other tricks, we can avoid a future where we return to the grim reality of the past, where any small accident could be deadly. 12, that the distasteful layer of dust and oil and grime that slowly settles on all things, if you keep the air clean, does so somewhat less quickly.
Our next song is about wishing on a star. Late one night a star fell from the heavens. Flickering, she landed in my hand. She said, "May I rest here for a second? I have come from such a distant land." Then she left, her golden eyes a twinkling, saying, "Though I may seem small to you, do not think I'm weak, for you've no inkling of the many wonders I can do. Tell me, what is it you most desire? What is it you yearn for through and through? I can grant you all that you require. I'm quite skilled at making dreams come true." Spirit, if that's all you're asking of me, all my wishes it won't take long to tell. I just want to love someone who loves me. I just want my mother to be well. Let our children laugh and trust and wonder. Love the things that swim and grow and fly. Let us all be sheltered from the thunder, and let only stars fall from the sky. Space to till our soil and grow our gardens. Shuttles flying daily to the moon. Grace to be unsparing with our pardons, and an end to war and illness soon. May our friendships never be a burden. May it never break you to be true. May old age bring wisdom, grace, and learning, not a bitter load that wears you through. May the campfire smoke curl up above me as we sing this song and hear it swell. And I want to love someone who loves me, and I want my mother to be well. So I spoke on rambling and sighing, but I must have gone on far too long. Little star went out without replying. In the end, she wasn't very strong. The star did something cruel there. She asked this man to dig up his deepest desires, made him believe that he could have everything he wanted. Then she tore it all out of his grasp. She made him think it was safe to want things in full generality. And when he felt safe to want things, he wanted, first, to be okay himself. And he wanted his family to be okay. And then he wanted everybody in the world to be fundamentally okay. To be safe, to be happy, to have room to grow to be the best versions of themselves, to have the basic security necessary to do right by one another. Circle, grow, and grow, we sang earlier. Let compassion boundless roll. Yet it is so difficult to feel that compassion when you or those you love are hurting or in danger. Our circles of concern get so narrow when we don't ourselves feel safe and okay. When you're at war, for example, you usually don't have room for much, if any, compassion towards your enemy, or even anyone that you suspect might be an enemy. And in that situation, this defensive stance is often adaptive and necessary, but I count compassion and empathy to be among the casualties of war. But even in places and times of relative peace and relative plenty, it's really quite hard for humans in a world of scarcity and conflict and danger to feel truly lastingly safe and okay. We bruise each other moving through the world, even when we try our best to be kind, and we don't always manage to try. We struggle to ensure we can be reliably fed and housed and comfortable, and sometimes this leads us to make promises we can't actually keep, or to run ourselves ragged with work and have no spoons left over to be good to our friends, or to make moral compromises about where that food comes from. We break our fragile bodies by accident or inevitability, by fire or by water, by very slow decay. We are just little animals running around the surface of a big, lonely world, trying desperately to be okay. We're not very good at it. We're much better at it in some ways than we used to be. We've built things like hospitals, sprawling systems for fixing the things that go wrong in human bodies when we can. We've built planes and trains and cars, land sailors and cloud rakers that let us go where we want to be, flee peril, and seek flourishing, as long as we let each other do this. Humans do such cool things in the service of that desperate desire to be okay. But we live our lives constrained by scarcity and danger, and we all still suffer, and we all still die. The star in the song did something cruel by highlighting so starkly the gap between a world where everybody is okay and the world we are actually in. And I will admit, this is also what I am trying to do to all of you. I think that a lot of the time we bear the ongoing brokenness of the world through something like dissociation. We may wish the world were better, but we put that wish away on a shelf as an impossibility not worth thinking about. We hide behind irony or wishful thinking. We may scoff at idealists who want the thing in earnest. Sometimes we forget we wanted the thing in the first place. This is understandable. It's often adaptive. But this one night of the year is a time for gazing into that abyss, the things we want and need and cannot have. It's a time to be in touch with the desperate human desire to be okay and notice the ways we are not. Perhaps not yet? One reason to practicing noticing the things we want is the possibility that maybe one day we will be able to build a world where we can have those things, and we need to know what the things are to get there. Another is that dissociating from your desires and your griefs is often costly and distracting. Personally, I found that it's often necessary to make room for these things in order to not be immobilized by them. That's a lot of what this next section will be, coming to terms with and processing and grieving brokenness and mortality and existential risk, because I think it is necessary to do this in order to be okay in a world where these things are true. But also, sometimes, if you take the time to actively notice your wants, You will also notice that while some are beyond your grasp, some of them are things you can just have. The man in the song, along with the rest of his utopian vision, there is the simple desire to sit by a campfire and sing. The warmth of the fire, the beauty of song, these are a part of the paradise he wants, and they are something he can just have right now on this lonely world. It's important to notice things like that, I think. Our next song marks the beginning of the night section. As I mentioned, we'll be spending some time coming to terms with death and with the risk of human extinction. If that's not how you feel like spending the next half hour or so, that's okay. You can step out and go have some tea, chill in the lobby. Somebody will come get you at the end of the night section. Quick logistical note, because the section will be increasingly somber, please hold your applause until after Brighter Than Today.
Little one, bitter wind blown. Little one, bitter wind blown. Sun barely rising above the horizon. Little one, bitter wind blown. Flowers are withering, naked bark brittle. Oh, little one, bitter wind blown. Don't understand why the light would abandon us. Little one, bitter wind blown. And I don't know how much more she may demand of us. Little one, bitter wind blown. Sun sailing away, I don't know where, I don't know why. Oh, sky darkening gray, wishing there weren't so many goodbyes. Little one, why? Little one, why? Asking me questions I don't have the answer to. Little one, bitter wind blown. Watching you shiver and I don't know what to do. Little one, bitter wind blown. Maybe if we did the dance, sang the words just right. Little one, bitter wind blown. Maybe she'd come back, maybe things would be alright. Little one, bitter wind blown. Sun sailing away, I don't know where, I don't know why. Oh, sky darkening gray, wishing there weren't so many goodbyes. Little one, why? Little one, why? Little one, why?
Bitterwind Lullaby was about a past where humans were even more like helpless little animals than we are today. when winter was much more often a death sentence. We've grown up a little since then. We understand our world better than we used to, and we have ways of dealing with such relatively basic challenges as winter. But our trials have scaled up along with our capabilities, ever growing in complexity and stakes. For example, if I'm a nurse in a hospital and my patient is having a complicated crisis and I give them this medication and not that, will they die? Or, if I'm flying a plane through a storm and I pull this lever and not that, will my plane crash and kill the 200 passengers on board with me? Or, how likely do I think it is that there will be a nuclear war that hits my city? In what situation should I evacuate? Or perhaps given certain assumptions. If I write this piece of code this way and not that, does this make it more or less likely that the world will end? The hardware we're using to make these decisions is the same monkey hardware our ancestors were using 4,000 years ago to find the best places to hunt and forage, to socially navigate within their small tribes and villages. No wonder it's so hard. It can be paralyzing to live in a world where your decisions matter and you know that things can go very, very wrong. Hell, even with only individual level stakes, it can be paralyzing to know that there is absolutely no guarantee that things will be okay. That just because you need something doesn't mean you can get it. And just because you cannot bear a possible outcome does not mean it will not come to pass. We fail sometimes, and we know we fail. This can feel almost impossible to live with. And yet we must live with it. And sometimes we even can. This next song is for sitting with this grief and fear and discomfort, howling together into the void against the cosmic injustice of a world full of loads too merciless to bear.
Textbooks measure, let all who build beware. The load, the shock, the pressure, material can bear. When the buckled girder lets down the grinding span, the blame of loss or murder is laid upon the man, not on the steel, the man.
But in our daily dealings with stone and steel we find the gods have no such feeling of justice toward mankind. To no set gauge they make us, for no laid course prepare. In time they overtake us with loads we cannot bear. Too merciless to bear.
Textbooks give it in tables at the end, the stress that shears a rivet or makes a tie bar bend. But traffic wrecks macadam what concrete should endure. But we poor sons of Adam have no such literature to warn us or make sure. We hold all earth to plunder, all time and space as well, to wonder still, to wonder at each new miracle, till in the mid-illusion of godhood 'neath our hands, cause multiple confusion on all we did or plan. The mighty works we plan. We only in creation, how much luckier the bridge and rail abide the twin damnation to fail and know we fail. Yet we by which sole token we know we once were gods, take shame in being broken, however great the odds, the burden or the odds. O veiled and secret power, whose paths we seek in vain, be with us in our hour of overthrow and pain, that we by which sure token we know thy ways are true, in spite of being broken, or because of being broken, may rise and build anew. Stand up and build anew.
Some of us here have grave concerns about, among other things, existential risk from AI. We think it's very possible that timelines are short, that takeoff will be fast, that alignment is hard, and that failure will be catastrophic. Some of us think this might be true. Some of us think it's almost certainly true. Some of us don't buy any of that, but may fear other disasters instead, big global ones or small, deeply personal ones. These potential catastrophes are hard to reason about and hard to cope with emotionally. Speaking for myself, it's hard to look straight at the possible end of humanity, of life and love and wonder and awe and beauty without crumpling. It's easy to get freaked out or panic, or to look away, try not to think about it, distract ourselves, and shuffle deck chairs. My name is Greta. These days I work at Miri, one of the doomiest places around. But before I did that, I spent a bunch of years as a therapist. I learned some things about coping with fear and worry and dread. I can't say I've completely solved it, even for myself, much less for everyone else. But I'd like to share what's worked for me, starting with, of all things, a Mother Goose rhyme about agency and acceptance. It goes like this. For every ailment under the sun, there is a remedy, or there is none. If there be one, try to find it. If there be none, never mind it. When you are very worried about a big, complicated, intractable problem, you have to figure out what you have control over and what you don't. Getting things filed correctly into those two buckets is pretty hard, but it's necessary because you treat the buckets pretty differently. For the control bucket, you need to apply agency, and for the can't control bucket, you need to apply acceptance. I'll talk first about the can't control bucket. When it comes to existential risk and your personal control over it, that probably mostly falls into the can't control bucket. People really, really hate the can't control bucket. They come up with lots of ways to try to dodge it. They try to stay in control of the uncontrollable, and they get really rigid and anxious. Or they get angry, not just at the problem, but at everything and everyone. Or they get despondent and fall into a deep depression. We as a species are not very good at acceptance. Acceptance looks like seeing clearly what is going on and how limited your own role is. Allowing yourself to feel grief about your lack of power, lack of control, how sad you feel about how the future is unfolding, how much you wanted a different future, one that isn't likely to come to pass. Trusting that you are strong enough to weather that grief, neither shirking the grief nor dwelling in it, spending time in it for a while and setting it aside to do other things, and then returning to it later. Really grieving is an activity, a process, something you can set out to do. It feels like letting down your shields, opening up, knowing that you will feel pain when you do, feeling that pain, coexisting with it, letting it be. I am in love with living and would prefer not to stop. I am a mother to 3 children, and when I look straight at my grief that their lives might be cut short, I can barely breathe for the sharp pain of it. But when I let myself feel that pain, I notice that I can't actually physically sustain that fever pitch for very long. The feeling peaks. It may be incandescently intense, but then it recedes again. And then I breathe. I notice that right now I still exist. My children still exist. The thing I fear is possible, or maybe even probable, but it is in the future, and we are here in the present. That is acceptance as I practice it. Meanwhile, there is the other bucket, the bucket of things we can control. It is important in the face of tremendous obstacles to keep on striving. We may or may not have agency over the actual problem, but we have agency about something. We don't know what the timelines are on anything. It is too soon just to give up on everything. Human brains thrive on actually trying. Continue to try to build and grow and improve your own life and the lives of the people around you. Make your little corner of the world better. Maybe we'll figure out a way through the big bad doom, and you'll be glad for what you have built. And maybe we won't, and you'll still be glad for what you've built. Should you try to cultivate a sense of agency about the big threats yourself? I don't know, maybe. If there is a way for you to be productive about that, then by all means. But I'm not talking today about solving humanity's problems. I'm talking about how to be okay, even when you don't know how to help. And maybe nobody really knows how to help. I'm here to give you permission to work, to strive on something else instead. Something that seems completely unrelated to the big actual problems. It's okay. You can create other kinds of value. You can improve the world in other ways, and it absolutely still counts. So that's agency and acceptance. That's about your orientation to the problem. What then about the rest of the time? How do you go about your daily life? Humans live in the past, the present, and the future, all at once, all the time. Struggling under the dark doom clouds is mostly about a general foreboding sense of future badness, rather than about pain in the present moment. If we live too much at that broad time scale of months and years, we might fail to notice the present. We might fail to notice that right now, this very moment, we are okay, and maybe even better than okay. We have lots of kinds of moments in every day, even on the worst days. We can have good seconds and minutes and hours, even while we are having bad months and years. We can connect with one another. We can hold each other, taking turns falling apart and being strong, or sometimes falling apart together. We can be there for the good parts. Joy is okay. You are not bad for feeling joy. Finally, it sure seems to me like the rules for life are changing. It's hard to say whether tried and true strategies for plotting out our lives will continue to work, or if there will be upheaval, volatility, and unpredictability. I personally have doubt that the old ways will still serve, Maybe you do too. My suggestion is this. Don't front-load all the work and expect to get your payout decades later. Mix in plenty of play all the time from now on. This is probably good advice even if you don't expect the world to end. See if you can find a point to living that is more rooted in the present and less rooted in the future. What are you here for? Who do you love? What do you enjoy? What helps you be yourself? Can you find some of that around you right here? Not next year or after you graduate or once you've retired, but in the next hour or the next week. Live your life. Savor it. Be kind to other people. Don't hold grudges. Stop doing things you hate if you possibly can. You always knew life's too short. Well, start living like you actually believe it. Thank you.
There are many ways to hear this next song. Its original context was a story about a self-perpetuating cycle of trauma. I hear it mostly as a reflection on mortality writ large. If you're very pessimistic, you can hear it about impending doom. If you're very optimistic, you can hear it about the eventual heat death of the universe. It's up to you. This song will lead directly into the moment of darkness where we experience the darkness and the silence together for a couple of minutes. You may choose to use this time to reflect, or to grieve, or to savor your existence, or simply to be. It's up to you.
And in the end, no one survives. No one at all gets out alive. And in the end, no one prevails. Everyone falls. Everyone fails. There is no love. There is no trust. The sky above is made of dust, so lay on down, close your eyes. No one survives. No one survives. No one survives. And in the end, there is no land, no holy place for you to stand. The towers high, the river low, beneath the sky, you're on your own. You take your time, you take your time, you cast your lot, reel in your line. There ain't no catch, ain't no prize. No one survives. No one survives. No
time survives.
Things it showed us still remain. universe is vast and dark and cold. The laws of physics are indifferent to hope or desperation or love. There is no destiny written for us. There is light in the universe, and it is us.
Winter nights ago, a woman shivered in the cold, cursed the skies and wondered why the gods invented pain. Aching, angry flesh and bone, bitterly she struck the stone, till she saw that sudden spark of light and golden flame. She showed the others, but they told her she was not fit to control the primal forces that the gods had cloaked in mystery. But she would not be satisfied, and though she trembled, she defied them, took her torch and raised it high, set afire history. Oh, tomorrow can be brighter than today, although the night is cold. The stars may seem so very far away. But courage, hope, and reason burn in every mind, each lesson learned, shining light to guide our way, make tomorrow brighter than today. Brighter than today. Ages long forgotten now, we built the wheel and then the plow, tilled the earth and proved our worth against the drought and snow. Soon we had the time to fathom mountain peaks and tiny atoms, beating hearts, electric sparks, so much more to know. Tomorrow can be brighter than today, although the night is cold. The stars may seem so very far away. But courage, hope, and reason grow with every passing season, so we'll drive the darkness far away, make tomorrow brighter than today. Brighter than today. The universe may seem unfair, the laws of nature may not care. Storms and quakes, our own mistakes, they nearly doused our flame. But all these trials we've endured, with lessons learned, diseases cured. Against our Herculean task, we've risen to proclaim tomorrow can be brighter than today, although the night is cold. The stars may seem so very far away, but courage, hope, and reason bloom across the world, and one day soon we'll rise up to the stars and say, make tomorrow brighter than today. Oh, brighter than today.
Look at yourself. What do you see? I see bundles of proteins and lipids arranged in a giant colony of cells, their lives given over to the implementation of a wet protein computer that thinks it's a person. I see fractal patterns that arise on precisely the right sort of planet when you pour sunlight into it for 1 billion years. I see wiggles in the sun's wake that struggle to understand the universe. Incomprehensibly large constructs made of atoms, yet unnoticeably small on the scale of galaxies. Look at us, the first species among the animals that can figure out what the stars are, yet still tightly bound to impulse and social pressure. Notice how silly it is. Monkeys acting all serious and wise as they try to affect the course of history. Look at us, half monkey, half God, towering below the stars. Look at whatever quest you've taken on, you who is forged by the death of your father's brothers and now claims dominion over the future. Acknowledge that what you're trying to do is difficult. Turn the monkey sight on yourself and see the lost monkey who's trying to steer an entire universe and say hello. Check in with the monkey. See how it's doing. Steering the future is a difficult thing. The world is large beyond comprehension, and the monkey wasn't really built for this. The monkey isn't really used to this sort of thing, and it can be pretty hard to work with sometimes. Let the monkey know that you have its back. Let it know that you'll still have its back, even if it gets ornery or difficult or depressed. Through thick and thin, let you know that you have your support, that even when you screw everything up, you'll stand by yourself and help you through the mess and help you figure out how to do better in the future. See if you can resolve to work with yourself. Like so many others before you, you can do powerful things if you work together.
stock have started dying, for the Lord has sent a drought. But we're sick of prayers and providence, we're going to do without. With the derricks up above us and the solid earth below, we are waiting at the lever for the word to let her go. Sinking down, deeper down, oh, we'll sink it deeper down, as the drill is plugging downward at 1,000 feet of level. If the Lord won't send us water, oh, we'll get it from the devil. Yes, we'll get it from the devil deeper down. Now our engine's built in Glasgow by a very canny Scot, and he marked it 20 horsepower, but he didn't know what's what. When Canadian Bill is firing with those sun-dried Gidgee logs, she can equal 30 horses and a score or so of dogs. Sinking down, deeper down, oh, we're going deeper down. If we fail to get the water, then it's ruin to the squatter. For the drought is on the station and the weather's growing hotter, but we're bound to get the water deeper down. But the shaft has started caving and the sinking's very slow, and the yellow rods are bending in the water down below, and the tubes are always jamming and they can't be made to shift, till we nearly burst the engine with a 40 horsepower lift. Sinking down, deeper down, oh, we're going deeper down, though the shaft is always caving and the tubes are always jamming, yet we'll fight our way to water while the stubborn drill is ramming, while the stubborn drill is ramming deeper down. But there's no artesian water, though we've passed 3,000 feet, and the contract price is growing and the boss is nearly beat. But it must be down beneath us, and it's down we've got to go. She's bumping on the solid rock 4,000 feet below. Sinking down, deeper down, oh, we're going deeper down, and it's time they heard us knocking on the roof of Satan's dwelling. But we'll get artesian water if we cave the roof of Helen. Oh, we'll get artesian water deeper down. But it's hark, the whistle's blowing with a wild exultant blast, and the boys are madly cheering, for they've struck the flow at last, and it's rushing up the tubing from 4,000 feet below, till it spouts above the casing in a 1,000,000-gallon flow. And it's down, deeper down, oh, it comes from deeper down. It's flowing, ever flowing, in a free, unstinted measure, from the silent, hidden places where the old earth hides her treasure, where the old earth hides her treasure deeper down. And it's clear away the timber, and it's let the water run. How it glimmers in the shadow, how it flashes in the sun, by the silent belts of timber, by the miles of blazing plain. It is bringing hope and comfort to the thirsty land again. Flowing down, further down, it is flowing further down, to the tortured, thirsty cattle, bringing gladness in its going. Through the droughty days of summer, it is flowing, ever flowing, it is flowing, ever flowing further down. It is flowing, ever flowing further down.
Before we fully leave the darkness behind for the rest of the program, we have one more reflection on finding equanimity and even triumph in the face of risk and fear. By the way, the reason we keep returning to this theme today is not that I think it is correct to feel hopeless. I don't actually think that. It's because hope is a kind of uncertainty, and I think that there is a great power and clarity in finding a foundation for being okay that is unconditional, rooted only in certainties. And so, this next song takes the position that, in some important senses, we have already won. There is a fundamental kind of triumph that we have already achieved that cannot ever be taken away from us.
awake from my bed in cold terror, with echoes of nightmares just roaming my skin. All the wrongs, all the dangers I hold off in daytime return to my thoughts as the night closes in. It gets so much harder when monsters are true. I can't quite imagine just what we could do. A miracle's needed to see us all through. But what have we got? We've got me, we've got you and I have seen the tops of clouds. I can breathe beneath the sea. I laugh with friends from across the world. Where I go, a library goes with me. This isn't a thing that our past selves expected. Lord Calvin assured us that steel cannot fly. His mistake was quite subtle, and all we need hope for is similar errors and proofs we'll all die. And if we yet meet with the end that we fear, 'twill still have been good that this once we were here. For one shining moment life saw itself clear, and dreamed of how soon to the stars it might steer. And how I have seen the tops of clouds. I can breathe beneath the sea. I laugh with friends from across the world. Where I go, a library goes with me. Yes, I have seen the tops of clouds. I can breathe beneath the sea. I laugh with friends from across the world. Where I go, a library goes with me. With me, with me. Where I go, a library goes with me.
That there's been a 93% decline in stomach cancer deaths over the past 100 years, which turned it from by far the biggest killer among cancers to one of the smaller ones. And mostly this was an accident. It happened because better food refrigeration reduced infections of H. pylori, a bacterium that wasn't even invented until 1982. After most of the decline had already happened. 14, that 85% of people in the world have toilets, and that number has been improving by 1.5% per year for the last 2 decades. 15, that washing machines. 16, that shoes.
My first child is due in April. I stand at the end of an unbroken line of mothers who nourished a single cell as it unfolded within their own bodies, who pushed their infants out screaming into the world, who successfully raised their children to adulthood. But for hundreds of thousands of years, childbearing would have been a terrifying roll of the dice. It's hard to know how many women died giving birth, but where data exists on pre-industrial societies, probably about 1% of live births led to the death of the mother. When the average woman gave birth 4 or 5 times, this meant a 1 in 20 lifetime risk of dying in childbirth. And giving birth to a living child was no guarantee of seeing them grow up. Nearly half of all children born would die without reaching adulthood, and infancy was particularly dangerous. Around a quarter of those newborn babies died before their first birthday. Almost all parents would lose at least one child. Nowadays, in America, less than 1 in 3,000 women will die as a result of pregnancy and childbirth. Going into this pregnancy, I am not particularly afraid. And I can expect with very high likelihood to see my child live to adulthood. In America, less than 1 in 1,000 infants will die in their first year. Other countries are still worse off, but taking the global average, 96% of children will live to see adulthood. What changed? The risks of giving birth were mostly of obstructed labor, uncontrollable bleeding, or postpartum infection. With fetal monitoring and modern surgical techniques, a C-section can be offered before obstructed labor poses any risk to either mother or baby, and is safe enough that some parents choose to schedule one in advance. Blood loss can be quickly treated with fluids and blood transfusions, and bleeding can be stopped with drugs and, if necessary, emergency surgery. Infections actually became more common during the first decades that labor and childbirth began to happen in hospitals rather than homes. In 1847, decades before germ theory would be widely accepted, Ignaz Semmelweis worked in a hospital where laboring women could be attended either by trained doctors like himself or by theoretically less skilled midwives. And yet, the death rate from infection was 3 times higher in the doctor's ward. Women would beg not to be admitted. After his friend died of infection from an accidental scalpel wound during an autopsy, Semmelweis wondered if the doctors might be carrying the poison of infection from autopsies to the maternity ward. Half a century before antibiotics were available, he was able to drastically reduce the death rates by requiring hand washing, albeit with a caustic chlorinated lime solution that left the doctor's skin painfully dry and made Semmelweis an unpopular colleague. It took thousands of people and many decades to spread this knowledge and practice to everyone in need of it. But in the modern US, only around 1 in 30,000 women will die of infection. Meanwhile, infants and children in the past frequently died of malnutrition, disease, or an inextricable tangle of both. But living in a modern developed country, I barely worry about either. My child will never be seriously weakened by hunger, will drink clean water, will be vaccinated against most common childhood diseases. If she has an infection, a doctor can prescribe antibiotics. If she ends up seriously ill anyway, we'll all have a bad, stressful time, but most babies who need to be hospitalized survive and recover. In America, the top remaining cause of death in infants is congenital anomalies. Thanks to the power of modern medicine, we were able to basically rule out chromosome abnormalities when I was only 10 weeks pregnant, neural tube defects at 15 weeks, and other major birth defects at the 20-week scan. And when babies do have birth defects, many of them are now treatable with surgery, sometimes even still in the womb. Prematurity is the next most common cause of death, but it's more and more survivable every decade. A few centuries ago, a baby born even a month or two early, with basically functional organs, but not quite big or strong enough to breastfeed or keep warm, was likely to die. Martin Cooney was one of the people who helped change this. He provided incubators and skilled nursing care to thousands of babies, free of charge to their families, and funded these efforts by running the incubators as a carnival attraction and selling tickets to see the tiny infants. Ironically, he may not have been a qualified medical doctor at all, but he became one of the best-known experts in caring for premature infants, taking in babies from across the US and saving over 6,000 lives. And the advances haven't stopped, both in innovating cutting-edge treatment for premature babies and in making sure it's available to as many people as possible. I am at 21 weeks gestation, slightly over halfway through pregnancy. The world record holder for the most premature baby to survive to date was born in 2020 at 21 weeks and 1 day. By New Year's, when I hit 24 weeks, my child's odds of surviving to go home if she were born that day would be 2 in 3. By 30 weeks, 98% of premature babies can be expected to survive. And, probably that won't happen. Most babies are born healthy, and most birth parents go through an unfun but basically uncomplicated pregnancy and labor. Even the unfun part is mitigated a little. There are drugs for morning sickness now, and epidurals exist. Also, just as an aside, I've said women, and mothers a lot here because a gestational parent is a mouthful, but here is a shout out to all of the transmasc and non-binary people out there who have been carrying babies. Sadly, our success isn't the same everywhere. In much of the world, prenatal and infant care are still very limited, and many women do die of complications that would be easily treatable in a hospital. Many children do still die of hunger and illness. But it's important to see this against the backdrop of the past, when only half of children lived to grow up. In Somalia, the country with the highest infant mortality rate, only 1 in 7 babies will die before adulthood. Far too many, but less than before, and hopefully less and less every year. As I follow in the footsteps of my ancestors, I have the privilege to feel more or less uncomplicated anticipation, something I can only imagine thousands of generations must have seen as an impossible dream. Going into parenthood is still scary in plenty of ways, and the future my child will grow up in is full of uncertainty and unknowns, but mostly not on the question of whether I will be here next year's solstice with a baby to introduce to our world.
Is dead. The smallpox plague is dead. No more children dying hard. No more victims living scarred with the marks of the devil's kiss. We still may die of other things, but we will not die of this. This is high for all who will not die. To all the doctors, nurses too, and all the lab technicians who drove it into the ground. If the human race does nothing else, we cut that terror down. Old King Plague is dead. The smallpox plague is dead. No more children dying hard. No more victims living scarred with the marks of the devil's kiss. We still may die of other things, but we will not die of this. Scarce the headline said the ancient foe was dead. Soon they spoke of curses new, AIDS and SARS, Ebola too, and COVID rages on. 10 new plagues may take its place, but at least this one is gone. Old King Plague is dead. The smallpox plague is dead. No more children dying hard. No more victims living scarred with the marks of the devil's kiss. We still may die of other things, but we will not die of this. Oh no! We still may die of other things, but we will not die of this.
17. That the light on earth could conceivably come from a sun that is small and close, or from one that is big and far. And in fact, it is very big and very far, which doesn't matter much short term, but long term it might be handy to have a totally automated fusion reaction 1.3 million times the size of our planet if we want to do something ambitious someday. 18. That Brussels sprouts used to be terrible, but in the 1990s, we noticed that was because of glucosinolate. And then seed companies found old low glucosinolate varieties and crossbred them with modern high output varieties. And now Brussels sprouts are great. 19. That even though we evolved as ruthless replication machines, we've somehow risen out of the muck, and we currently find ourselves running cultural software that's way out of sync with what game theory would dictate. And perhaps we can seize the moment and build a civilization that can tame the brutal dynamics that created us. 20. That other animals have more cone cells than humans. For example, birds have 4 and shrimp have up to 16. And so they can perhaps see colors we can't even conceive of, which, yeah, that limitation of our minds is frustrating, but it also hints that there are huge, unseen, dark continents of qualia lurking out there, which someday we might find a way to visit.
We here tonight are also part of the story of humanity building its own flourishing. Some of you perhaps are working on your own civilization scale projects. I hope these go well for you and for the world. Others are doing the hard work of keeping our civilization humming along. Or perhaps you are building something very specific and very personal. Or maybe you are working on improving your own life, giving yourself the physical and mental infrastructure that you personally need in order to flourish. Or maybe you're working on getting to a point where you can do that work. Whatever your current project or your next one, I wish you luck and skill and discernment, and that when you need to, you level up.
Come now, you haven't been waiting long enough. You're done with all the talk, with nothing on the table. It's time to come on out. There will be no sign from above. You'll only hear the knock of your own heart, a signal. If you are afraid, come out. If you are afraid, come out and level up. Begin again. Dynamite the dam on the flow. Your body feels the talk of time as it hammers. Lord, we are all cinders from a fire burning long ago. But here it is the knock of your own heart that matters. If you are afraid, come forth. If you are alone, come forth now. Everybody here has loved and lost. So level up and love again. Call it any name you need. Call it your 2.0, your rebirth, whatever. So long as you can feel it all. So long as all your doors are flung wide. Call it your day number 1 and the rest of forever. If you are afraid, give more. If you are alive, give more now. Everybody here has seams and scars. So what? Level up. Plant
At lunchtime, I bought a huge orange. The size of it made us all laugh. I peeled it and shared it with Robert and Dave. They got quarters, and I had a half. And that orange made me so happy, as ordinary things often do. Just lately, the shopping, a walk in the park, this is peace and contentment. It's new. The rest of the day was quite easy. I did all of the jobs on my list and enjoyed it and had some time over. I love you. I'm glad I exist.
We talked earlier about the audacity to want things. Let's go ahead and lean all the way into that. As a warning, the song gets very briefly non-G-rated at the very end. Also, a quick note, because I didn't get this when I first read these lyrics, the first few lines here are about astronomical waste, which is the idea that there's all this energy out there that we could be harnessing for our own flourishing. And one day, perhaps we'll figure out how.
The tune to this song is an old folk tune called Big Rock Candy Mountain, which is about a magical place where everything's good and happy. But if you look at the lyrics to that song, I think it shows a lack of imagination. One evening as the sun went down, that big old fire was wasteful. A coder looked up from his work and he said, "Folks, that's distasteful. But in another 20 years with some big old computer, you and I will flourish in the great transhumanist future." In the great transhumanist future, there are worlds all fair and bright. We'll be constrained by nothing but the latency of light. When the hospitals are empty and the sun's a battery, making it a breeze to get out of deep freeze, give humans wings and some other things in the great transhumanist future. In the great transhumanist future, you never have to sleep. Run forks on computronium and speed them up for cheap. The galaxy is full of stars and the world is full of space. Oh, I long to see an eternity spreading far and wide, and we're all carefree in the great transhumanist future. In the great transhumanist future, you never go without, and giant streams of data are flowing all about. There's a cure for your depression and a fix for all bad brains. There's 1 trillion years with immortal peers. All the people who are working are volunteers in the great transhumanist future. In the great transhumanist future, we learn all about the world. Physics, math, psychology are suddenly unfurled. You can see 1 billion colors, you can hear just like a bat. Hope I live to grow where we get to grow. Give me VR porn and a unicorn in the great transhumanist future. Yes, I'll see you nigh if we don't die in the great transhumanist future.
So, 500 unicorns coming right up. So that was one particular vision of one particular future. Your utility function might not be your utility function, but your utility function's okay. But
before this last song, or second to last song, I'd like to just take a second to think, okay, what kind of future do you want? What kind of world would you hope to build in the eons to come? Possible child, dreaming through the longest night, a possible smile, waking to a distant light, a possible world. Tell me what you wanna see. Where's that child going? Tell me, who's that child gonna be in 5,000 years? What you wanna do, what you wanna see in another 5,000 years? Where we wanna go, who we wanna be in another 5,000 years? If we boldly set our sights, journey through the coldest night in 5,000 years. Oh, 5,000 years. We could build a brand new home. We could raise the glass domes high. And in a century or three, our children might look at the sky, and then at last they'd see that distant yellow sun, the cradle of humanity, and all the things we might become in 5,000 years. What you wanna do, what you wanna see in another 5,000 years? Where we wanna go, who we wanna be in another 5,000 years. If we sailed across the stars, unimaginably far in 5,000 years. Oh, 5,000 years. Still might die, but maybe not, we got to try. I don't quite know what shape we'd take, I don't quite know what world we'd make, I don't quite know how things might change, I don't quite know what rules we'd break. Our present selves might think it's strange, but there's so many lives at stake, and entropy is bearing down, but we got tricks for sticking round. And if our children see the day that yellow fades to red and gray, we'll take a moment, one by one, turn to face the dying sun, bittersweetly wave goodbye. The journey's only just begun in 5,000 years. What you wanna do, what you wanna see in another 5 million years? Where we wanna go, who we wanna be in another 5 billion years? When all that we once knew is gone, our legacy could carry on in 5 billion years. 5 billion years. What you wanna do, what you wanna see in 5 billion years? Where we wanna go, who we wanna be in 5 billion years. Where we wanna go, 5 billion years. Who we wanna be.
Thank you, everyone, for dreaming with me today of possible futures, for joining on this long night to journey through the darkness and build our own hearth of light and warmth. Before we sing our final song, I'd like to take a couple minutes to thank everybody who helped make tonight happen, which is so many people. I've been astounded by how generous the community has been with its time and its skills to make this event come together. First and foremost, I've been doing the talking up here, but Solstice is a co-led project. Johnny, would you come up here? All right. Let me talk. Johnny has done a colossal amount of work to make this event go. That's coordinating with the freight and recruiting and organizing volunteers and handling the money and making sure we could have a dress rehearsal and a live stream and food and tickets and programs and all manner of logistical necessities. So thank you, Johnny, for doing all this work and putting up with... Thank you for doing all this work and putting up with all of my opinions and being a really helpful sounding board for my own Solstice decisions and generally being a great co-lead. All right, now, if you were involved in making Solstice happen today, I want to invite you to come up on stage, though it's not a huge stage, so we might run out of room, in which case, here's more room. Performers, everybody, please come up. I will gesture to people as I read their names. Yeah. All right, so acknowledgements in no particular order. A huge thank you to my friends who helped me write the program for tonight. That's also Johnny and Ray and Elena and Nat and Sarah over in Berlin and Lexand, who's sadly stuck in a hotel room with COVID. Thank you for the conversations you all had with me about all the stuff I was stuck on. Y'all are great and have great opinions. Thank you to my friends who helped me translate The Fallen Star. That's Elena and Johnny again. And also my friends Mitha and Discord user Napoleon. Thank you to Miranda and Greta for writing new speeches at my request. Thank you, Nate and Dynamite, for letting me use your words, as well as the authors of all the songs, of course, that we sang up here today, including Ray and Alicorn and Dan Spire over in New York. Thank you to all the past Solstice organizers we've talked to this year for generously sharing your hard-won Solstice wisdom, especially Ray and Claire, who I kept DMing with questions for months. Thanks also, Claire, for letting us borrow your guitars and guitar stand. And thank you, Ray, for having the idea that we could do Solstice here and making this happen. This is amazing. Where are you? Thank you, Ray. All right. Huge thank you to Taylor and Shay for flying over here all the way from Vermont every year. And yeah. And speed learning a bunch of songs and sounding amazing and being great to work with. Thank you to everybody who led a song or read a speech today. Y'all are talented and amazing, and everybody sounded great. Thank you, Blake, for all of your work leading choir through the Solstice season and teaching us to blend and to open our ears all the way and count to 7 and other advanced skills like that. Thank you for your aura of quiet confidence and creativity and coming up with new ways to practice and also putting up with all of my opinions and just doing this hard work so that we could all have this experience. I know it's a really tough job and I can't thank you enough for doing it anyway. And of course, thank you to the Bayesian Choir for the hours and hours of rehearsal time you've put in. I really feel like we've leveled up this year. All right, Johnny, want to thank some more people?
Everybody at the Freight has been great working with you guys. Thanks to Tim and Andrea, who handled us in many, many emails. Thanks to John, who did lights, went home and figured out the cues on his own in his own time, did a great job. Thanks to Brian, who figured out sound and figured out how to fit this many mics on this stage with this many performers doing this many things, which was fantastic. Thanks to our AV team, Rachel Shu and Eli and Alex, knocking out of the park again, as usual. Thanks to Nova and to Glenn, somewhere over there, who answered a whole bunch of tech questions that I had at all hours of the night. Thanks to Rachel McConnell in choir for making the official 2023 Winter Solstice candle plank so that we could have these candles sticking out of this lectern. She did that in her wood shop. Thanks to our volunteers, Jacob for advancing the slides, Yafa and Zach upstairs providing childcare, Rebecca, Nika, Stephen, and Tim for showing up and moving heavy things and helping with ticketing and just generally running around and doing things as I needed them to do. And thank you guys for showing up.
One last big thank you to Johnny and Anna.
All right. And, okay. A round of applause for everybody who made Solstice happen. Sorry. I got distracted by an unexpected occurrence. All right. Quick note of logistics. After we finish here, please feel free to mingle in the lobby or here until about 10:15, and then please clear out unless you're helping clean up. We need to be all the way out of here at 10:30. After that, there will be an after party. Everybody is invited, so here are the details. It will be at the Alembic, which is an event space located at 2820 7th Street in Berkeley. This is on Facebook. Talk to Misha, who is running the after party, if you have any questions. The party will start right after we're done here and continue until about 2:20 a.m., and I hope to see you all there. Oh. All right, and now our final song is a celebration. If you would like, stand up, put your arms around your neighbors, or link arms or hold hands, and bask in the warmth of a crowd of friends as we turn our sense of wonder upon our world.
It's not on, right? Is it? Oh, there we go. Okay.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Good night.
All right. Thank you, everyone. See you at the after party.